Here we go. Let me down this little shot.
Yeah.
It's just vitamins. I got my little Trader Joe's vaccine 1 and vaccine 2 over here.
Please take your seats. School is now in session.
Welcome to Homeschooled Podcast.
Homeschool.
The Homeschool Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
It's time to document the journey. Welcome back to Homeschool Podcast. This is Augustino Zoida, and I'd like to welcome back Jen Murphy. Thank you for being here, Jen. It's great to see you. You have done my show before, haven't you?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
A couple of years. I don't know.
So you remember my garage where I record, like downstairs from my house? So it's new. It's new internet, and I'm worried that it's not reaching all the way down here. So let's hope we don't have too much of a buffering issue. But really quickly, but before we begin, I would like to remind everybody that Valentine's weekend, I'm up in the Sacramento area. If you want to see me live, February 12th, I'm actually in Rocklin, California, which is technically Sacramento County. Rocklin, I have 2 shows. The 7 o'clock literally has 2 tickets left, so you better hurry up. The 9 o'clock is still open, and then I am not doing a show on Sunday. It's the Super Bowl. Go fuck yourself. I am I will continue my weekend on Monday, Valentine's Day, the 14th, and I will be in Folsom, California, which is also, it's all Sacramento, and there's only one show that night. You can get tickets on my website, augustinocomedian.com, and let's see what else. After that, I'm going to be in Tampa, Florida, March 5th, one-nighter for a beer week, for a beer festival. I'm doing Tampa, Florida. So that should be cool. All right, we got that out of the way. Everything's at augustinocomedian.com or homeschooledpod.com. Click on tour or merch to support the show and get t-shirts and stuff. Where are you? Remind me where you're from, Jen?
I'm originally from Arcadia area, by Pasadena.
Oh, that's right. Okay, cool.
I'm from Southern California, yeah.
Yeah, same. Me too.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're busy. That's cool that you're traveling.
Yeah, I space them out pretty good because, I was, like, for example, as you know, this last week, you and I had to cancel our podcast. I had to cancel everything last week. I lost my voice. I got sick. And, you got to space your dates out now, because I'm worried that I'm going to, get sick on the day of my show. Or even worse, they take my temperature to get in the building and I fly all the way there. And so with that being said, you recently had a nightmare experience. What I would consider one of my nightmares that I've had, like, I don't even want to use the word fantasy. I have fantasized that what happened to you might happen to me.
Really? Like, I never thought it was a possibility for me. I was totally blindsided.
So tell everybody what happened to you.
Well, I was about to work my first cruise ship that I've worked in 2 years. I was getting on January 1st, and I know this was an issue, and I was really careful. I tested myself 3 times the week before getting on, and then when I went to board the ship, they tested me, and I was negative.
Oh, no.
And then that first night, I woke up in the middle of the night just so sick. But I had taken a red eye from LA to Miami the night before, and then I boarded the ship and I didn't sleep at all. So I kind of thought, oh, maybe I'm just like run down and tired and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I just, like, my throat hurt. I was like chugging water. And then the next day I like you said, I could barely speak and I just felt awful. And I was supposed to do 2 shows that night. So I went down to the medical area and I was like, I still didn't think I had COVID just because I had tested so many times.
Yeah.
And so I went to the medical area and I was like, can I get some Advil or cough drops? And I hadn't spoken to anyone yet, so I didn't realize how bad it was. And then when I tried to ask them for Advil, like, I could barely talk.
Oh, man.
And they just looked at me, they're like, no, sit down. And I was like, I swear I just got tested yesterday, like, I'm fine. And they're like, nope. And so they gave me a test and I turned out positive. And so they sent me straight down into quarantine, and I spent the whole 8-day cruise at the bottom of the ship in quarantine. I never got to perform.
Oh my God. Tested positive after the ship has set sail.
Yeah, we were literally had only been sailing for, not even 24 hours.
Oh man, I would have been like, turn this thing around.
I mean, it was brutal because they took me down to the very bottom, like the furthest down you could go in the ship, and I was in a room with no windows, just at the bottom. And when you're at the bottom, you're just hearing the bottom of the boat. Just sounds like you're hitting whales every
Oh my gosh.
2 hours or so.
Luckily,
Luckily, I don't get seasick, so that didn't bother. The rocking didn't bother me too much, but not having a window for 8 days, and not being able to get any fresh air.
Yeah.
Like they told me that you can't leave your room, and I didn't even get a key to my room. They didn't give me a key because if you leave, they don't want you to be allowed. You're gonna have to be stuck out there, and they're gonna know that you left.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. What happens if they know? Will they fine you?
I don't know. I was so curious to find out.
Because you could be like, hey, I got locked out of my room, and you have to let me in because I will contaminate the entire ship if you don't. But then, are they going to fine you? Maybe.
I assume you probably just never work for them again.
Yeah, there's that too.
So I don't know. But yeah, I spent the whole 8 days down there. So
Luckily,
I really was sick, so I slept a lot.
Right, exactly. That's what you do. I mean, did they provide you meds?
I mean, they just gave me, the first day they sent me down, they just gave me a box of cough drops, and they gave me a box of cold medicine.
Okay.
It worked, I think. I mean, I just slept a lot. I don't know.
Nighttime?
I think it worked.
Nighttime cold medicine, daytime cold medicine, both? Neither?
Yeah, it was kind of a combination. I think it's probably a stronger cold medicine than you can get just over the counter.
Oh,
it wasn't
I see.
It wasn't something I'd ever heard of. It wasn't a bottle of NyQuil, but yeah, that was it. I mean, it's weird to say that I'm actually glad I was sick, but I only say that because I've heard of comics who, or anybody that tests positive and has no symptoms.
Yeah.
And so then you would be down there in quarantine, just wide awake, fully functional. At least I was really just down. It makes you so tired.
Yeah. Because you could not be sick, accidentally test positive because of a faulty test, and just be this is so stupid. I'm stuck down here for no reason. I can totally do comedy. That would be, I guess, equally, or that would be a little bit more frustrating. But it's just terrible.
I talked to one comic, because after I wrote the article, a lot of people reached out to me, and there was one comic that said, that she had been in close contact with another comedian that tested positive. So they put her down in quarantine, even though she tested negative. They put her down there for 4 days.
Oh man! So she just told them yes.
Positive.
So how do they know? They asked her, and she said yes.
I guess, yeah. They asked me. They said, "Have you had any really close contact?" And I just said no, even though I had spoken to the other comedian when I got on the ship, but we had our masks on. I knew that it might be an issue for him, so I just said no, I haven't. But I guess if you say yes, then that other person can get stuck too.
Well, at least she was honest. I would have said no.
Yeah.
Well, it is a little bit of a flawed system, because you tested and tested and tested, boarded the ship, and then tested positive after all your negatives. It's I've been testing negative, and then all of a sudden in the middle of my cruise, I could test positive. It's totally possible, and then...
Well, I think because I was sick the very first night I was there, I felt so guilty. I felt they're probably looking at me you clearly boarded the ship with this, right? Because you... Unless I caught it as soon as I boarded, but I don't think symptoms show that fast. I don't know how all of this works. I'm no expert, but it was also my very first time ever working for this cruise line. So I just felt I looked so bad. It's not a good first impression.
Well, it's not your fault, I mean...
Yeah, and they're very nice about it. And, some people were I can't believe they treated you that way. And I'm
You get it, though.
They're doing their best.
Yeah.
They're just doing their best also. They're trying to keep us sick people as far away from others as possible. And I didn't want to, bash them for how they handled it,
I mean, I don't agree with everything that everybody does, but I do try my best to comply so that businesses can stay functioning. I mean, they employ you, and for them to employ you, they have to keep functioning as a business, and they can't do that if their entire what do you call them? Guests are contaminated. They can't do it. They'll get shut down again for a year again. You know, so I mean, I'm all for fuck the government, but when it comes to businesses, especially ones that put money in my pocket, you know, I try to support them.
They still paid me the full amount, so you know.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it's a shitty situation, but that was nice of them. You can't. Yeah. Of course, you can complain, but you can't complain. You know what I mean?
I really can't. I mean, the only complaint I would have is like, oh, it'd be nice to have a window. That's it.
Yeah.
That's basically like it. Otherwise, there's really nothing else that could have been done.
I don't blame them for the way they acted or treated you. I just think that regardless, it's just extremely unfortunate and scares the shit out of me what happened to you. Yeah. You know? I mean, yeah. So, okay, so you've worked ships before, right?
Yeah, I had just started working them before COVID. I worked about 3 for Norwegian Cruise Line, and this one that I got sick on was Carnival, and that was my first time working for them. So yeah, I've done some, but I had just started doing it towards the end of 2019.
I had heard from several comics that do. I'm not saying that cruise line. They just told me when they worked the cruises that sometimes they will end up in those basement rooms with no windows, but they're allowed to leave. Yeah. So if you have to quarantine people for like a week or more, you should have a side of the ship that has windows at least that's like reserved that no one's allowed on that side. And then maybe the employees get the basement because they're allowed to leave.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know.
you got the Hannibal Lecter cell.
I did. It really feels like you're in like a glorified jail. Like, you ever hear about how like if celebrities go to jail, you know, they get their own room and it's kind of nice. That's what it was like because I was literally locked up. Yeah. With somebody delivering food like just on a tray, leaving a tray outside my door 3 times a day.
I saw a couple of your Instagram stories. They got food in like a hazmat suit. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I would have been, as soon as I tested positive, I would have been like Tom Hanks in Castaway trying to build my own raft. Just like out of sticks. Because, so first of all, I have a fear of, this is one of the things I've thought about, is that I just will get sick when I have a gig, which drives me nuts. Because, you know, it just sucks to be sick. And it always has, but now it extra sucks because of how much of any type of illness is hyped up. If you have the sniffles, a cold scares people.
Yeah, the thing, normally, you know, if you're sick, you're just like, oh shit, I gotta go on stage sick. Yeah. And I would have never even gone to the medical. I would have never gone down to the medical place to get coughed off or anything. I would just be like, all right, I gotta suck it up.
Totally.
But because I was like, well, I can't go on stage and cough into the, like, I can't, you literally feel like you can't cough. Maybe once you can get away with it, and that's it. So I can't be on stage like, hey guys.
I always think about this.
Before COVID, you totally could. Yeah. Before COVID, you could be up there blowing your nose, snot running down. You're like,
you just drink a tea before you go on. Take a Dayquil. You know, take an aspirin or whatever. I think about this all the time now. One of my favorite specials ever is Bill Burr's very old special. I think it's called, I always get it mixed up. Why Do We Do This or Let It Go? I think it's Let It Go. And in the special, in the middle of it, he just stops.
Yeah, where you can tell he has a cold.
He coughs and he goes like, and he's like, and he goes like, I'm on fucking Dayquil. I'm fucking sick, you know. And I just think, like, we could never do that now. We couldn't admit it.
No.
I know. So
and it's also just, I mean, it's so hard to perform when you have a cold because, you know, doing stand-up is so mental. You got to be, like, sharp. Yes. You know when you have a cold and your brain is
cloudy.
Slow, even if it's just a tiny bit slower than normal, it's just you're never as funny because it's just things are moving slower in your head.
Just feeling so out of it. I mean, the times that I have been sick and I'm on stage, the adrenaline and the energy, like it almost works like a drug, almost like someone shot like a morphine in me or something. Like instantly my sore throats and everything has always gone away. But then as soon as I get off stage, it's like way worse. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't realize how it is. But those days are over. I just make my dates very far apart so that if I get sick on one, that I have 2 weeks before the next one, at least, which is why
when you were sick last week, you had COVID, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't you feel like, I almost feel like good now, like, okay, I'm clean, I'm safe for a while.
Yeah, I guess
So
for a while.
that way?
Yeah, well, because I had the OG vid back in 2020.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
This was my first time.
So then I got this, so I'm, they say once you get it, you can't get it again, but that's not true because you got all these variants. And, COVID's like the iPhone. Like, they just keep releasing new updates, so you got to get the latest one. Like, it's just going to keep being new strands. Like, I got that one already. No, there's a new one out. Like, fuck, now I got to go get the fucking new one.
That's hilarious.
But it's true. So, you can't be too careful. So I'm probably safe for another 6 months, hopefully.
Yeah, that's how I feel, at least for a couple months. I don't feel like I'm safe, like
Yeah.
I'm never going to get anything again,
But then in general, I have a fear of cruise ships because I'm extremely motion sick. I get motion sickness.
Oh yeah, you
Severe.
would hate it then.
Yeah, I'd hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do. I'm claustrophobic. I have motion sickness, and for me to be like stuck on a ship and it's rocking and I can't move, I can't get off it. It's like you have no choice.
You better stick to Sacramento. In Florida.
Yeah. I saw what's that guy's name? Really nice comic. What the Kurt Smith? You know Kurt
Yeah,
Smith?
he does skips all the time.
He posted a video the other day. It was rocking so much the pool area was like the Titanic or something. And
Yeah.
I don't know how he can do that. I would have been, I don't know, like calling the Coast Guard to come bring a helicopter. I can't do it. I can't do a ship.
Yeah, definitely not for you. That's okay.
And then you were stuck down in that basement with no windows, and I just, I would, I don't know how you did it. You're braver than I am.
No, thanks. The first couple of days were really hard, and then it's like once it starts getting to the second half of your week, you're like, okay, now I can count down the days.
Yeah.
But like the first 2 days, I was just like, I'm not gonna make it. Like I can't stay down here, and I started having all this anxiety, like this
Right.
feeling, like you said, like claustrophobia, where I'm like everything in me just wanted to run outside and just breathe some fresh air.
Yes.
You start to feel like you can't breathe.
And
I'm
you
like,
can't.
the walls are closing in.
Yeah. I mean, it's a totally normal reaction. I mean, you handled it well. I don't know if social media helped at all. If you kind of complaining about it, and not complaining, but just at the time it was maybe complaining. Just to, I don't know. It just helped.
Yeah,
you
I tried to keep my posts kind of like light. Just posting tried to post some funny videos of the food that was being delivered. But the very first post I put out where I said, I'm stuck down here for 8 days, I did get a lot of response, and that was nice. That did help.
Yeah.
And then writing that article for LA Times made the whole thing worth it. I did not expect that.
That's right.
So
I saw
exciting.
that. I saw that. I mean, that's
Yeah. That was never something 2 weeks beforehand that I ever thought I'd be doing, writing for the LA Times. So
Oh man.
there was
Yeah.
there
What
was some
happened to
silver
you?
linings.
If it just really kind of hit me in an area when I saw that happen to you. I was just like, because as I said, it's a fear of mine to be in a situation like that, and I I went and told my wife and stuff. Can you believe? I was so worried. I was so worried about you.
It was sweet. And I feel like there were some comics that were more upset than I was. They're like, I can't believe this is happening. And I was like, it's okay. I was
Yeah.
comforting them. I'm like, it's all right.
I mean, I'm not upset what they did. It was just upsetting that you had to go through it. And in the beginning, 8 or I think they told you 10 days at first,
Yeah.
right?
10 days.
That probably sounds like a lot in the beginning. And then the anxiety kicks in. You're just like, how am I going to do 10 days? That sounds like forever.
Yeah, no, that's why the first couple of days was hard, because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. Because they also, it's not like when you're at home, you can, even if you're sick and have to isolate, like you said, you can walk into your backyard or you can go open a window or something.
Yeah.
But it was also, there's just, those rooms, and it was a nice enough room. It had a nice bed, but, it's a cruise ship. So the bed pretty much takes up the whole room.
Yeah.
And then there's just a little tiny hallway to the door. So it's not even, people are like, oh, try and exercise. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, what am I going to do? I can barely talk. My fucking throat hurts. You want me to do jumping jacks in here? You want me to start doing push-ups? People are dying because of their lungs giving out. You want me to start doing burpees? Like
burpees?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I've been sick for a week and I still haven't worked out again. But I'm a procrastinator in general when it comes to working out. I'm just like, let me wait till I'm 100% better.
Well, it does make you tired. I was sleeping a lot. Even when I felt like I was over it, I was still sleeping way more than I ever do. Like, it really does sort of knock you out.
Yeah.
Physically.
I mean, I had it last week, and the first 2 days I slept because I just basically was waking up going, nope, still feel like shit, gonna stay in bed. Yeah. And I'd take a Theraflu PM at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I woke up at 4 p.m. and you know that good sleep when you're like, it's 4 already, So I did that for like 2 days, and then I couldn't really sleep anymore. And then at least I was very productive on my laptop and editing podcasts and answering emails and booking stuff. So it was pretty productive.
Yeah, the good sleep is when you wake up totally confused and not knowing what time it is.
That's the best.
That's how you know you slept really well.
I think that's how you know I'm getting old, is because like I can think specifically of like my top 5 favorite naps. Like I can remember them. Those naps that are just amazing.
Yeah.
Another thing, I was just laughing today with someone. I think I'm getting old. My memory is horrible. Like it actually runs in my family. It's a big fear. My grandmother has Alzheimer's, and so my memory is just getting worse and worse. And I was sitting at a bar, and this is how I know I'm getting old. I was sitting at a bar with my wife, and we had been there for about an hour, and then I leaned over to her and I said, do you think anybody would notice if I went behind the bar and took that bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label? Okay, this is what I said to her. I'll say things like that at a bar to my wife to try to be funny. And I'm half really asking the question too. And my wife turns to me and says, you asked me that an hour ago when we first got here.
Oh no!
So yeah, I think I'm getting old.
Oh no. Yeah, that is scary when stuff like that starts happening.
Yeah.
We'll just blame it on COVID brain. They say you get COVID brain.
Yeah. But I'm glad that you got through it. I think you were the strongest and bravest one of everybody who was following along your story. And then what happened? When you got home, you just wrote the article and then like LA Times picked it up, or?
No, it just happened that a good friend of mine has written for them a couple times, and we were talking, and she was like, "Oh my God." She was one of those people who was like more upset about this than I was. She was like, I cannot believe this is happening, and blah, blah. She's like, I want to write an article about what is happening to you. And I was like, yeah, of course. And then she talked to her editor, and somehow between the two of them, they're like, you know what? Maybe we should ask Jen to write it so it's just in the first person.
Oh, that's cool.
Of what my quarantine experience was like. So it was really just, I was very lucky that she said, you know what, why don't you try and do this? Which is really nice, because I've never written an article like I've written jokes, but even I was like, oh, this could really suck. Like, this could be awful. So they were nice enough to give me a chance. And so that was like 2 days before I got off the ship. So I just started writing it while I was still in quarantine. And then as soon as I got home, I typed it all up and sent it in, and I thought they would probably like come back to me like, let's change this or do this different. And they were like, oh, this is great. Like, they
nice.
Yeah, they made a few edits, probably because I don't know perfect, punctuation and
perfect
grammar.
Exact grammar, yeah.
But yeah, I was really shocked. I was like,
well, for the most part, they probably wanted it to seem real. And not like a professional person who writes articles every day wrote it. It wanted to seem like you're real. And that was cool that they gave you started during the quarantine. That probably helped you in the last couple of days. Keep busy.
It did. It really did, because then I had like a purpose. I was like, all right, if something great comes out of this, then it's all worth it. I mean, I think, even as comics, sometimes a situation that will make me cry or just something really shitty, if I write a joke that gets a great laugh, I'm like, okay, well, that was worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have any bits about this yet?
Not really, only because we're so far into COVID. I try and not even really do.
Yeah.
I
Topical,
have like one. I have like one joke about it, but I try not. A lot of people were like, "Oh, you must talk a lot about it on stage." I'm like, not really, because I feel like now people are still nervous about Omicron, at least in LA, not maybe other parts, but. And now they're coming out and they want to just laugh, and I think they want to kind of forget. I don't think they want to hear all about COVID still. That's just my feeling. Nothing against any comics that do COVID jokes. It's totally fine. No judgment. For me, I feel like, I don't know. Yeah. And also, there was nothing about it that, if there was something that I thought was an amazing joke, I'd do it, but it just didn't.
I think that if, and I've said this before, I think probably almost a year ago, I've said that if you want to do a COVID joke, I'm fine with it if it's brilliant. Like if it's completely original, but don't do something that everyone's going to do. And, don't do something that's just, I hate when I see comics that are just like, so the Rona. I was like, dude, you didn't even have the decency to come up with an original name. You just called it what everyone else calls it on Instagram. It's just like, no, I hear you. If you're gonna do something, you do it right. And also, I think it depends on the kind of comedy that you do. Like I think the article was the perfect outlet for that. It was a video diary or an article. It's not necessarily a funny story. It's a very intriguing, interesting story that people will want to hear about right now. But bits come from, maybe if you did a lot of stories, maybe, but even still, it's only you in the room. What could have possibly, you can only get so far in the story. There's not going to be a huge end.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it.
It's like with me and, I was homeschooled as a child, and whenever I tell people that, they always go like, oh, you must have a ton of bits on it. And I go, I really don't. And they're like, you should, and I just go like, to be honest with you, I've tried, and it's nothing that original, and they're like, well, you should do stuff about how like your prom date was your sister. It's like, dude, that's so hacky, And people tell me that shit all the time, and I'm like, and also, you know what? To me, it wasn't really funny. I didn't have a good time being homeschooled. I didn't enjoy. You don't enjoy it as a kid. As an adult, I respect it as an adult. I respect what my parents did. I appreciate what made me me. But as a kid, you hated it. You're like, why do I sit in this house all day? I grew up being quarantined.
I can't imagine. Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, I have 3 sisters and 2 of them were homeschooled.
So did you then have very many friends in the neighborhood that you would play with after school?
Not until I was a teen.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so you did kind of miss out on that.
I have a lot of cousins. I have a lot of cousins my age. They would come to visit every now and then. And then I had my parents' friends' kids were my friends. And then when I was a teen and my parents loosened up a little bit, I was able to go out and explore on my own. And then I made neighborhood friends, maybe 16 years old.
Yeah. Wow. That is kind of late.
Yeah. And then 20 years old, I was a comic. So that was my childhood.
There you go.
Very short window. Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. Have you been doing this, the podcast throughout all of COVID?
Yes.
Okay, good. I thought so.
I have loosened up a little bit on my episodes. I was going strong for 2 episodes a week for probably 2 years. This is episode 420, I think.
Oh, wow.
But, I have slowed down a little bit and just doing 1 a week now because for a couple of reasons. I have so many other projects I'm excited about and want to focus on. And let's face it, 4 or 5 years of doing the same podcast, I ain't going to make it doing this podcast, Jen. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, no one's going to come give me a Spotify deal with this podcast. They would have by now. I know that I'm not going to make it from this, but I also love doing it, and I love the people that have stuck with me since the beginning and still listen to it every week.
Yeah,
And,
that's amazing.
You know, and one day, if I do, I don't want to say make it, because I think you and I already made it. We earn a living doing what we love. We made it.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. To be more
Yes.
popular, I think that one day people will go back and listen to it
Yeah.
and hear. And that's why one of my slogans of the podcast is, and I have T-shirts that say it, that say "Document the journey." So you can, you know, wouldn't you want to hear Rogan do a podcast before the Joe Rogan Experience? Like, wouldn't you have liked to have heard his journey to get where he is? Not just let's listen to famous people talk, but
Yeah.
let's see how did they get there.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You know, like this episode, the shit that you had to go through in the basement of that ship, and the worries that we have today as comics that not even are, you know, legendary heroes that we look up to. Richard Pryor didn't have to worry about testing positive for COVID to go do a show or to not perform. So I think that we are documenting an important part of history for performing artists. So one day you and I will be out there, very well-known comics, me and Jen, and people are going to come back and listen to this episode and hear what we had to go through.
Yeah, I know. That's interesting. I know, because so many people are like, why? Not comics, but regular people. They're like, well, why the hell did you get on a cruise ship? I'm like, because you don't know what it's like to need to work after almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I needed to work. How long can I keep waiting?
I would do it if I didn't get seasick as bad as I do. I would do it. And I
Yeah.
try to overcome my fear. I took sailing lessons. I've always wanted to sail, and recently I've taken sailing lessons, and I do okay. But as soon as I get out of the marina into the open, gotta head back.
Oh, no. Well, hey, at least you tried. That's great.
Yeah, I try. I'm sticking to those electric Duffy boats. Just keep it in the marina. A little gondola. I do kayaks, and that's about as far as I can face my fear. But
Yeah, don't get out into the real waves.
anyway, I won't take much more of your time, and I'm happy the internet lasted this long. Do you have anything
I know,
coming up?
great. Just mostly a lot of local shows and stuff. Nothing real big that I can think of. Oh, but I am going to, if anybody's in San Luis Obispo, I'm going to be doing the San Luis Obispo Comedy Festival.
Nice.
February 24th to the 27th. I love that festival. I've done it a couple times. in
Really?
the past
I've heard it's
years.
fun. I've never done it.
It's so fun. And San Luis Obispo's like only 3 hours away, and it's just
Yeah.
so beautiful. And yeah, it's a good time.
I drove through there my last gig, the end of January. I do like a quarterly gig in Paso Robles.
Oh, yeah, it's right next to that, right?
That's right. I think it's the same county. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a gig there. It's like this brewery that's huge, and they have a big stage, and they fill it up like a
Oh,
100-seater.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I do 2 shows on one night, and I do it quarterly. Maybe next time if you want to do it with me. I don't know if you
Yeah, I
if
would
you
love
mind.
to.
Some comics that have been doing it equal or more time than me don't want to open for me. I don't know if you care.
I would open for you anytime. I would love to do it.
Cool, it's fun. We just drive out there, and then sometimes I bring my wife and we get an Airbnb, and I'll bring comics, and we all like do wine tasting and stuff the next day too. It's really beautiful. It's really nice.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm in.
Cool. Are you gonna do a ship anytime soon, you think?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm able to, I will definitely do it. My cruise agency is under the impression that they will not hire me back after I wrote that article.
Oh man.
But
Did you mention
if I
them by
did-
name in the article?
I didn't.
Huh.
But it's okay. I think even if it's not for Carnival, now I'm mentioning it by name, but
I was just
I
gonna
think
say,
I'll end up.
who reads the newspaper anymore? Then I was like, people that go on cruises. That's exactly who reads the newspaper.
Yeah. But yeah, I would do another one.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like cruise ships usually had kind of a bad stigma with comics, and I think more and more comics are doing them now. Partly because, they realize it is good money, but also
It's good money, yeah.
there was always that stigma of it like kind of being hacky, which you can be. if
Yeah.
you want to. But if you really use the stage time, it's a lot of stage, it's an hour almost every night. And if you really write and use it,
Yeah.
it can, it can make you a better comic. Just
I
depends
think,
how you use that.
And I think it depends on the cruise line that you do. I've heard some, when you do the family ones, I think I've seen comics come off of doing ships for too long of the family ones, and it completely changes their act. I think it's important to transition back when you come back to the clubs. You're not on a ship anymore, You have to keep both material very fresh.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I definitely am not going to do is change who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'll make sure and write a lot more clean jokes so I can do clean jokes for the family. But yeah, I have seen that happen. I've seen some people that are doing ships, constantly, and then they come to LA and you're like, oof.
Yeah, they're doing like songs that rhyme because they have to entertain children in the room, 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
But then there's some ships that are, I think Carnival's one of them that they have like a daytime show and the nighttime show you can pretty much be loose, and then I think I've seen some that just look like a freaking comedy club basically, and it's like a Vegas comedy room on water,
Yeah, no, the showroom that was on this Carnival one was really nice from what I saw, because I checked it out the first night I was there. I wasn't supposed to perform till the second night.
Man.
But also, I think they've never told me, like even this one I was going to have to do a clean show, and they never say have kid material. The only rule is make sure you're not cursing, doing any jokes that can't be said in front of you. So as a comic, you don't have to do kid. Like, I think comic, and this has happened to me, if I see a 5-year-old in the audience, it messes with your head.
It really does.
But you really don't have to do kid jokes. You can play to the adults in the room.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything that's not appropriate for kids, because they're there all.
It's not about entertaining the kids. It's about entertaining the parents, and the kids have to be there because the parents can't get a sitter, or But
it is interesting how that happens, where you see, like, the kid, seeing a kid's face really does like mess with your head.
Yeah,
and you're like, I got to entertain this one kid.
Yeah,
I got to make sure that it's almost like you start to challenge yourself. Where you're like, I need to make this kid laugh.
Yes, exactly, like something that they'll like, and I know I would do it too. Somebody just asked me the other day. I'm doing a show somewhere, and the venue is not a comedy club, so they don't know exactly. And they asked me and said, a person wants to know, can they bring their kid? And I said, how old is the kid? They go 4. I was like, no. Like, come on, guys, have common sense about it. Like, that's the window right there of who I don't want. I'd rather you have a baby. Because a baby has no idea what I'm saying. Yeah. And then, or like a teenager. If they're like 13, I can keep it PG-13. But a 5-year-old understands everything, and you know what I mean? And it's not appropriate. Trust me, it's not appropriate. So, yeah. I had a baby, my last show, I had a baby, literally a baby. Like, probably 9-month-old baby in the audience. Which I was totally fine with. I kind of made fun of the couple a little bit for bringing a baby to a comedy show, and they were good sports about it. And at the end, I brought the baby on the stage with me.
Yeah, baby, you don't have to worry at all.
Yeah.
They're not comprehending anything.
I was just like, disclaimer, your kid's first word's gonna be fuck, just so you know. They won't know what it means, but anyway. Thank you for sharing your story, and
thank you.
I'm glad you survived it. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. I'm glad you survived too.
Thank you very much. I'm glad we did this. So I'll see you soon somewhere, I'm sure.
I hope so.
I'd like to get more LA spots than I do. It seems like I get more on the road spots than I get LA spots, which sucks. I think the next thing I have is in Long Beach with Steve Fury's room on February 9th.
I love Steve Fury.
Yeah,
he
he's
runs
awesome.
a room in Long Beach? I didn't know that. He's
like
great.
Bear City or something. Anyway, yeah, it's February 9th. I'm going to head over. I have a spot over there. But yeah, I'd like to get more LA spots. But hopefully I'll see you around pretty soon, and I'll let you know the next thing I get if you want to go.
Yeah, sure. I would love to.
Where can people follow you?
On Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Jen Murphy Comedy. Just one N, JenMurphy Comedy.
Jen Murphy Comedy with one N and Jen Murphy Comedy.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll put the link in the description as well. Guys, don't forget, Sacramento, I'm coming Valentine's weekend. It's the 12th and the 14th. And after that, I will be in Tampa, Florida on March 5th. I'm working on some other dates for you. I'm talking to Bend, Oregon right now and Denver, Colorado. So as soon as I get those dates locked in, I'll let you guys know. And then I'm coming back to Paso Robles in the late spring. So I will keep you guys posted. But right now, you got Sacramento and you got Tampa, Florida. Everything is at AugustinoComedian.com. Please help support the show by getting a t-shirt. We have Homeschool Podcast t-shirts like the Document the Journey one I mentioned, ones after my tour. You can download my album, and all of that helps go towards the tour, which helps me pay for expenses and bringing comics with me and stuff like that. So I appreciate it. Jen, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you, Verizon, for not cutting off our our internet. And I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
That was Jen Murphy, everybody. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I found that fascinating story. I felt so bad for her when I saw her posting about it. And, you know, I just kept checking on her every day to make sure that she wasn't losing her mind, because I think I would, you know. Crazy times that we're dealing with as live performers. I'm sure everybody in their field or in their relationship or, you know, family or in some way in life, crazy times, strange times. So I will see you guys soon. I'll see you next time. Thank you for waiting for this podcast. I was sick last week. I didn't do one. And so then I released the latest audio of the rewatchables, where Kevin and I reviewed the Scream 5 movie. So you have the entire audio. It's about 45-minute episode right before this one. And if you want to watch the edited one, it's coming out this week, which will it'll be on Instagram and YouTube. So guys, when you want to see the rewatchables, by the way, really quick, I just want to plug my new show before I leave. I have a new talk show / movie trivia show. So it's a movie talk / trivia show, and it is typically under 6 minutes. These are very short episodes. It's a funny talk show about movies, and we do a trivia at the end. It's called The Rewatchables. I do it with my very bestest friend, Kevin Lyons, and we love talking about movies, and we love forcing each other to watch movies that we normally wouldn't watch because we have very different opinions. And so at the end of every episode, we do a movie trivia, and whoever wins the trivia that week, they get to choose the next movie that we watch and discuss. So they're under 5 or 6 minute episodes. The entire uncut episodes, audio only, are here exclusively at Homeschool Podcast. You can listen to them. But if you want to just watch the finished video, please, we really need subscribers on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Augustino Zoida. Subscribe, and you'll always see the new, about 1 or 2 a month we're releasing them. Just episodes, very short, very funny, movie discussion and movie trivia. So please check that out. It means the world to me. Follow me on Instagram if you're not already, at Augustino Zoida, and this way you will see the finished videos and the other funny stuff I post, not to mention keeping up with my tour dates. Sacramento, I'll see you Valentine's weekend. Tickets are almost sold out. Head to AugustinoComedian.com or HomeschoolPod.com. Click on tour. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Augustino Zoida. Don't forget that only love can save the world. Please continue to come back here and support Homeschool Podcast, where we document the journey. Peace! Homeschool Podcast. Homeschool.
The Homeschool Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all.